takes a little while to keep in. Does that all the time. Mic upbringing.
Are we good to go?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another 5K tennis season. This makes season number 3.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think it's 2 complete seasons and a season and a half. Welcome everybody to a happy new year. Hopefully 2020 won't be carrying too much over into 2021. Make sure, by the way, to subscribe to the channel this year. We're going to be doing continue to do our tennis racket giveaways, our fantasy team competitions, our prize giveaways, and I might even do some random giveaways throughout the season. Just pick a subscriber, send them something tennis related. So make sure that you get subscribed to the channel. That's all you have to do to qualify for the prize giveaways this year. We have a lot of them. With that said, thanks so much to Ytex. That is a string company if you're not a player. The owner, Ivor Savage, respectively, is a very good friend of ours that assists us with a lot of these giveaways. So shout out to them for sure. So let's just begin today real quick. New Year's resolutions. Carla, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I don't do New Year's resolutions because most people, they do them and they never go through with them. I mean, just a few things I say. I mean, it's not a New Year resolution. It's more like, just try to be better than next year, the year before that. Whatever you did the year before, try to be better this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Einstein had a quote, something like, "It's not about beating someone or necessarily being successful. It's just about being better than you were the day before," something like that.
Yeah, I think we wrote down a few things, right?
Yeah.
That we said we would like to see people do in general. I've heard a lot of complaining in 2020. Almost everyone complained. It would be nice not to hear people complain anymore. Don't judge people. Work harder. Stay healthy. There's a lot of people out there that are not healthy. I think that would be a good goal for them. Instead of resolution, make it a goal, because it's, I think that's just, I don't know. You know how many people say, oh, I'm going to diet, or I'm going to eat less, or I'm going to try to not be angry. It never happens.
Yeah, yes, and it's easier said than done. I think with healthy, you want to strive to do that, but sometimes the individual is a victim of circumstance. You see what I'm saying? If they work from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and they only have a window of about 3 hours to eat, bathe, sleep, and do whatever they do, sometimes they just have to go, oh, geez, I wanted to get healthy, but I only have time for fast food and something. So
it's tough to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of victim of circumstance there, but I think if we just take it 1 minute at a time, I think you can still find something healthy to do in that a couple hours of time.
Yeah, I put also help others. I think it's important. As you know, 2020 was a tough year for many.
Yeah.
And there's many out there that need help. Help them. If you can, remember God, family, and love. It's important in your life. I think a lot of people forget that sometimes.
Yeah, having faith is highly important. I can't overstress that. Let's look at 2020 in terms of the beginning of 2020. We started with wildfires in Australia. Much love to those guys there. I think it's that time of the year there again. I had a ruptured patellar tendon, 2 broken arms.
Mm-hmm.
We lost our house during the hurricane. So by the way, if you're new, this isn't our place. We are staying somewhere and blessed to stay here because our house is being rebuilt after it was taken during Hurricane Sally last year. So that's why we're here. So we hope to be back in there relatively quickly. So as we are in day 1 of 2021, we are still in the midst of this COVID-19 thing.
It seems like, okay, last year, January, we still hadn't heard about the COVID thing. It was around March.
It was like March, yeah.
March that we closed here. I mean, you started hearing about it at the end of January, and it still seems like things are still circling around, and it's getting worse, actually, because more countries are closing, more states are closing in the United States. So I don't think it's gotten better.
Well, I think you have to, hope for the best and prepare for potentially more of the same, at least for the time being, but we're going to be super positive no matter what. I know another thing upcoming on January 6th, I think, is the election where, again, we don't care about the politics aspect of it, but I know something that's teetering in the media here, at least in the States, is that on January, I think it's the 6th, that the presidents change up.
Oh, I know.
So hopefully that, isn't some international debacle, but all in all, even tennis is still affected. So
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
definitely is.
Yeah, I don't think Auckland, the New Zealand tournament, is being played. I think they're having 2 tournaments in Melbourne because of the restrictions due to the COVID-19.
The ATP Cup.
Yeah, and we're going to get into the qualifiers of the Australian Open and so forth. And anyway, let's go ahead and start today's show. My New Year's resolutions, by the way, number one, to stay positive and healthy. I do try to stay positive. Again, sometimes I get angry. I would really like to try to minimize those days. Stay healthy. You know, for the most part, I'm pretty healthy. Had some big injuries last year. I drink a few beers, so I'd like to maybe turn it down to like just a few beers, like once or twice a week. So I would like to do that. I want to work harder on these shows.
No.
So a lot of comments coming in as we move forward to get back into our house, I think would be highly beneficial or advantageous for us because we have to set up a new area to do this. And last year and the year before, we kind of had it thrown into a corner in my stringing room. So we're going to kind of have a blank slate to start next year or this year once we get back into our house. So I want to put like a blank wall, and if you guys want to send stuff from wherever you are, we can put it on the wall and just start, kind of start a 5K tennis wall of fame or wall of shame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put stuff up on the wall. Lastly, Carla and I, by the way, are tennis coaches. We were born into the game. We're both players up into a high level. Her challengers. And we both got into coaching. I've coached for 22 years. She's coached with me for now almost 11, and doing a really great job. Fist pump, you're leaving me hanging. All right. So what I want to do is work even harder this year on keeping our courts up and to make sure that we're pushing our students harder and to, of course, get more students. So put 100% into coaching.
Yeah, I'm wearing a hat because usually I don't wear a hat on the shows. I think you're wearing your new Roger Federer hat.
Yeah.
I have mine, but I didn't wear it because I didn't want
Yeah.
all of you guys to think I'm a Roger Federer fan and that's it. So I wore the one that Dave Raines, a family friend, sent to us. He sent us several hats from Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, Western and Southern
Yeah,
Open.
there's one. So I
Yeah.
want to thank him for that. Rajesh, thank you. If he's not watching, he sent us the kids, some
Cookies.
cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was awesome too.
Yeah, Rajesh, instrumental, been around since day one, helped me with my leg injury, so always much love to him. So because I just mentioned coaching, I want to start today's show, pardon the long introduction, but it's a new year, let's go, I can't wait. But I wanted to start today's show with something that Carla and I do, and it's our passion, it's our life work. We were players and it was our passion to win. Now we're coaches and it's our passion to have other people win or at least become tennis players or to have fun playing tennis or to get fitness playing tennis. Anyway, I don't think I've done a coaching video in a long time and that's not what I'm doing here, but there was a comment that came in from a gentleman by the name of Charles Williams, and this comment was pertaining to an older video. And the comment was about coaching per se, but I thought it was a good metaphor to use as we go into 2021 and society as a whole. So read his comment, Charles Williams, so big shout out to him for this, and think about it and use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be tennis, it can be business, it can be your kids, it can be whatever. And if you're not a player, you can substitute coaching with something else. But go ahead and read his comment.
Charles Williams says, can either of you explain why it is up to the tennis instructor to make the practice fun? Either the student likes the sport or not, or wants to work at the sport or not. I think it is up to the tennis instructor to teach in a pleasant and knowledgeable manner. There should be no burden on the tennis instructor to make the practice fun. Your thoughts?
Okay, so the moral of the story is it the tennis or coaches or managers, whatever? Is it the coaches in this context? Is it the coach's responsibility to make the lessons fun or the coaching fun? It's a really good question. Carla, why don't you start? What are your thoughts? Is it your responsibility?
It all depends on the level of the student. I mean, if you have a beginner, you want to make it fun for them. Otherwise, they're going to quit pretty relatively quickly, right? If it's a serious student, someone who has a goal to, maybe get a scholarship in college or, play at a higher level, then you can't make tennis super fun because it takes work to be good at anything. You make it fun when you see the student, I guess, maybe he's bored, or maybe like during the holidays, we do games with them, like it's around Christmas or something. We'll do fun stuff.
They're pretty intense games.
Yeah, they're still intense, but we make it fun for them. We give them a little break. But, it is up to the coach. It's like a teacher at a school. If it's boring, the kids are going to fall asleep. Anything, you'll fall asleep. You got to make it somewhat fun.
I agree with you. I think that there's a lot that you can throw at this question. Let's start with this. It's contextual. There has to be a context in which this question pertains to. So number one, you said it perfectly. It depends upon the level of student. How about the age of the student? A lot of us certified coaches that go through these programs that we have gone through, whether it's the USNTA or the USPTA or the PTR. And on and on and on. A lot of your training, at least in terms of the younger ages, is games. And why do we play games? You said it perfectly. If you get a group of 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds out on the tennis court, it's really hard to keep their focus on something that's as difficult as hitting a ball for anyone, much less at 4 or 5 years old. So you'll throw games and you'll make it fun. Why do we make it fun? Well, number one, it's what we do for a living, so you want to have your students come back. But number two, and more importantly, no particular order, but number two, if you don't make it fun for them, then they're tugging at mom and dad, hey, I hate this, I don't like this, and so forth. However, even advanced junior players or college players that we work out with, or whether it's adults or seniors, or it doesn't matter, a lot of people these days, especially given the COVID-19 thing, are looking to get out of the house. They want to get out of the house. They want to find something to get fit. They want to stay fit. They want a new experience. So yes, you're going to get those people out and you're going to have fun with them. You're going to make them leave with a smile on their face, or you are doing something wrong. Now, on retrospect, a lot of our advanced junior students, you just have to push them sometimes. But when you find that you push them so hard to where maybe they're starting to feel a little burnout, or maybe they push really hard, go to a tournament and lose in the first round, coming back, sometimes we'll flip it over to, hey, let's have fun again. Let's reset. Let's get ready for the next one, but let's have some fun today. So I think it's very contextual, the question. To sum it up, I think it is the coach's responsibility to make it fun at the times where it's needed to be made fun, and then know when to flip the switch to turn it into press the buttons mode. So I think it's highly contextual, but I do think it is the coach's responsibility in some way, shape, or form, depending upon circumstance, to make it fun for the student.
All right, let's go to some viewer comments.
Let's go.
William Chia said, no, just like it's not the pastor's job to make his message fun. I think I have to disagree with you, William Chia. I've gone to several, I can't call them church, but several places where the pastor is really boring and puts you to sleep. And I know he's trying to get a message through, but if that message doesn't come through with some excitement or some, how some teachers are like, the voice is very, it puts you to sleep. You have to make it fun, definitely. Even watching tennis professional players, there's some players that have no personality. Someone here mentioned Sangha. Sangha is a fun player, always entertaining. Pranav. There are some players like Murray that's very boring to watch. He has no personality. Many players, Bashvili is another one, Bashvili, whatever his name is, very, very boring to watch. Pliskova, very boring to watch. It is their job to make it entertaining, just like actors, just like singers, teachers, coaches, anything in any business. You have to make it entertaining. Being a boss, you've got to make it fun. I mean, you have to be strict, but you got to make it fun around your
or at least have a time set up like a Christmas party or a New Year's party. So at least in a sense of as a business, you're saying boss, at least so the whole team knows that they're together, like a morale booster in a sense.
Yes.
But he mentioned pastor.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you have been to a lot of Sunday services.
They put you to sleep.
Okay, so my question here is that a motivation issue for the one sleeping? In other words, if he's subbing in pastor and you're subbing in sleeping, the sleeper is synonymous with the player, and the pastor is synonymous with the coach, correct?
Yeah.
So does that mean that there's a motivation issue behind the coach, or does that mean that there's a motivation issue behind the one sleeping, or does it mean it's just a bad fit? Is everyone
Could be a bad fit. Could be a bad fit.
It could just be a bad fit.
But there are some. It's like I remember having some teachers in high school. You would have these teachers that would make the lesson fun, and then you have some that no matter how many books you read or anything, you couldn't learn. They were so boring. They didn't motivate you.
Do you think this is one of the reasons why growing up, our families and other coaches would always set us up lessons with other coaches so they could hear a little bit different?
Yeah,
so
my dad coached me, but I also had other coaches, and I think I had a lot of different coaches, but when I found one, I stuck to that person. And right away, someone's not a good fit.
Yeah.
Just like sometimes we get students and we know we're not a good fit for them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're too spoiled, or maybe they're just not motivated enough, or maybe we're too hard on them.
I mean, well, yes, and there are a lot of students that come and you never see them again, and not necessarily because it's a bad fit or they're not motivated. They just didn't care for the game. Usually, it's your first timer that comes and you don't see again.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, if someone's played before, we tend to find a way to make them smile. I think that's our goal. When I meet a new student, what are my first 3 rules? I tell them right to their face. Number 1, stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, work hard. And what's my 3rd rule? Stay positive. It's the same rule as number 1, and then we just start to hit it, and then that's on. I think sometimes when we start, we push them and they get nervous and they're like, whoa, I didn't expect this much intensity, but then I think they warm up to it.
William Spencer said, kids are used to forms of tech entertaining that offer instant and continual gratification. Keeping them focused on things like sports, which don't have that, I would imagine will or has gotten harder.
Excellent quote. He always writes really, really well. I always see kind of eye to eye with William. Exactly. We see this time and time again. We have students that come out that have all the abilities in the world. They're athletic. That you would think by looking at them they're highly motivated, only to get them out on the court and every 12 balls they say, oh, I need to go get a glass of water. And then, of course, as a coach, you're going to say, okay, go get your water. However, usually they go get their phone along with that cup of water. So, yes, it is it's a big distraction is what I'm looking for. And, yes, if I can get my cell phone and download an app and get XP points for touching a piece of candy, then I'm getting a trophy because I pressed the button. Don't we play sports to win? Yes. So why would I want to work so hard to get a trophy if I can press this button and get one too?
Yeah, that's true. I think I found that recently that adults are easier to teach than the kids. Because they're not running to their phone.
Of what William said.
I find that a lot of my juniors, they're practicing, they do their drills, and then all of a sudden, when we're picking up tennis balls,
gone.
They're on their phone. And I'm like, really? You guys are on your phone? Like, yeah. I mean, how does that happen? I don't remember when our coaches were
we didn't have phones.
But even if we were sitting down, we were doing, kids are lazier these days.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
And much more overweight.
Yes.
This especially, right now at the elementary school level, I'm talking kindergarten through 5th grade, there is the obesity rate has to be around 60 to 80%. Yes. Because even the little ones are really packing it on. And granted, there was that when I was a boy in the 70s and 80s, but not like there is today. We would be outside running around and building forts, but now everyone is just waking up and grabbing that.
Yeah. All right. And I'll read some more comments. I know a lot of you guys.
Take a couple.
Someone said Nadal has personality, especially when he fights. Pranav said Murray is fun when he cuts his hair. When has he cut his hair?
Interesting.
When has he cut his hair? I don't remember the last time he cut his hair.
We always talk about he looks like, it's so scraggly sometimes. I don't recall a picture of good hair day and bad hair day for Murray.
No.
Maybe someone should send a picture of Murray's good hair day and his bad hair day kind of put together, and we could put it on the wall behind our new place when we get it.
Ying Hao says Nadal is boring, but these guys win.
I agree with them.
His game is boring.
I think it's boring too.
His game is boring, but he has personality. At least when he wins a point, he's jumping or he's doing something before they start the match. He does this little run. So he makes tennis fun.
He has flair.
Yes, exactly.
And he does have to be careful because I think when he gets too flared up before a match, he tends to bang his head on a doorway heading out to center court.
All right. I see a few guys here are talking about, let's see, I like watching Murray. Matt Cain said I like what we're talking. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Okay, so they're talking about the Aussie Open starting February 8th. Singapore, Singapore had just 5 and 3 cases yesterday and today, respectively, after having 1 or none daily for the last few months. That's it. You should see you should hear how many cases are in Alabama. How many?
Yeah, there's quite a lot.
That's it. I wish we had that here.
I think the current levels are on average are somewhere around 4,000 plus per day in this state alone.
Yeah.
Again, I try not to tune too much into that. Just because, like we started the show with, 2021. I just want to kind of move forward again, but it's something that we're being controlled by. But yeah, I totally agree. In terms of numbers here, it's definitely high.
Yeah. Okay. Team Grove says the reason Rafa is my favorite player is because when I was young, I was drawn to his game. So I disagree. He's boring.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Good point, Team Groves. I guess some people see him boring because he hits the ball back and forth. There's nothing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Kind of Djokovic too. Djokovic kind of bores me sometimes.
I think there's 2 different avenues of boring. I think some people are saying he's not a boring person, and I think some people are saying he's a boring player. I think there's two differences. Is he a boring person or is he a boring player? No, he's definitely not a boring person.
No, he's not a boring person.
He has
No.
energy. He's highly marketable.
Yeah.
He's a really vibrant man.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, to me, from a lifelong player and a
The
coach,
game style.
his game style is
boring.
relatively boring.
It's like W. Ferrer. It's back and forth, back and forth. It's like, oh my gosh, how many? Murray too. He's boring.
Yeah.
His game is boring and his personality is boring.
They both play the way that I play. I play highly defensive like that. I'm looking for spots, looking for angles, and I'll be very patient to get those spots and angles. Carlo on the other hand, it hits more through the court. 1, 2, 3. So I think it's a style of play.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Christopher Arson is the same way.
He's the same way.
He's like kind of like a Rafa. He'll go back and forth all day. So, all right, next.
All right, that's all on that topic. Great topic, by the way. Next topic, and this is going to be a pretty good one. Starting for 2021 on this first day of our show, or yours, please subscribe, by the way. I wanted to put together a list in no particular order of women's WTA tour or men's ATP tour that need to do something this year, or they will probably fade away, or that they are very young and now it's time to start doing something, or maybe they've been on the map for a while, just never really turned the corner, and now they're getting older and hey, time's about to run out. Any player, male or female, that needs to do something now, or at least start showing glimpses of heading in that direction. I'll start with the first name in no particular order. And you guys throw them in there and we'll discuss them. I just kind of jotted names down out of my head, and that's it. So I'm surely missing tons. But the first one I wrote down, no particular order, was Borna Coric. Borna Coric, and this is just me, you can comment on this. Borna Coric at one point in coaching circles was highly heralded, highly regarded as being a top 3, maybe one in the world at one point, and it just never happened. I think this is a year Borna Coric needs to get back up in the higher, the top 10 if he can do it. But the tournaments, they're limited. But time is ticking for Borna Coric. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
And anything you want to say?
Kyle, no. I mean, I've never thought Coric would do much, really. I know you always loved watching him and saying that he could be in the top 10. I just never saw that from him. I thought there's too many guys with the same style. Mm-hmm. You have to have something different. I mean, you've got many guys that have Nadal style, but they're better at it. He's better at it. He brings something else. And Coric there's nothing about his game that you can say, wow, that's a Grand Slam champion.
So agree or disagree, Borna Coric, if he doesn't do something this year, he's obviously successful and all, will be just fine. But in terms of his tennis moving forward, I think this year is his year, or I think he'll just continue to kind of slide down the ranks.
Yeah, and there's a few of you who are making comments about certain players, and we'll get to that.
Let's take one.
Okay, well, Matt Cain says Littleina.
Svitolina.
I think
I
you
have
have her
one.
in
I'll
that
cross
one.
it. Yeah, let's talk about Svitolina.
We've been talking about her. When is she going to win a slam? She gets to the semifinals. I just think she doesn't have the weapons. The weapons to, like the Osakas or the Andreescu or the Serena, or even the young girl who won the French Open. I can't believe I Swiatek. She doesn't have those weapons. She's like a Wozniacki, just a little bit better.
Yeah, you said it perfectly with the Felix Auger, or not Felix, but Borna Coric.
Yeah.
That I lost my train of thought.
The games are the same.
Yeah, well, there's other people out there that can play that game better. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Svitolina is a fine player. To me, she's kind of run of the mill. She's had her opportunities, just could never close the door. I think in her big type final moments and tournaments, I think she's lost some of those matches quite badly. Check my math on that one. But Svitolina to me is, a top 10 player, sure, but I don't think she is going to make any more headway than she did last year. I think last year at the end, the middle,
that was it for her.
I think we'll see her continue to fade away, so I definitely agree, bing, bing, with Matt Cain.
Hurling tennis says Sevastova. Well, Sevastova's pretty much at the end of her career. I think she's 28, 29. She's one of those players, back in the 90s, you would hear a few players, Amy Frazier, some players like that, Shanda Rubin, that's the type of player she is. They make some noise, and that's about it.
Yeah, Sevastova, fine player. Again, she would be kind of in that, Borna Coric category of, hey, all the gifts, all the weapons, can play the game across all surfaces, and it just never really happened. So I would say, I don't see Sevastova moving up in the rankings this year. I see her hanging around the same spot or continuing to fall.
Yinghouse said Borna is good, but certainly not great.
Yeah, I agree. Early in the latter part of his junior career, and when he first got into the pros, and a little bit or short duration after that, he began to climb rapidly, and then it kind of stagnated. And you're right, and it's probably just because of what you said. He never turned the corner to hang out with the elite.
Team Grow said it feels like Chorich is missing something to take his game to the next level, and that's what I mean. I mean, there's a lot of guys with the same style, but he's just not better than them. Let's see. One Ohm said Kasakina.
Agree.
Yeah, I feel like Kasakina already got to her highest
Who
point.
was the gentleman that said that?
One OM.
Okay, really good. I didn't write that down, but Kasatkina plays identical to Carla. Kasatkina, made a semifinal or a quarterfinal of the U.S. Open a couple years back? Maybe he can tell us. But I think Kasatkina made a quarterfinal of the U.S. Open maybe 2 years ago.
Australian.
Was it the Australian?
She did good at the Australian, and I think the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
It was her year, and then after that, everything just went
So
down.
if you took a carbon copy of Carla and split screens and put Kasatkina over here and had them play the same style of point and even had them wear the same thing, their entire body package on the court looks the same, and they play the same style. It's quite uncanny. But Kasatkina had a lot of opportunities. What was her? Do you recall?
Gene said Kasatkina made the Roland Garros and Wimbledon quarterfinals in 2018.
There you go. Gene. Thanks for the research. But I think what was the cause of her going from making those two quarterfinals and to the next year to being like a lost cause? She was losing matches a lot left and right, first round.
I think some players, they start winning and they think they don't have to keep working
and
harder.
They got it.
And they got it. But it doesn't work that way. You have to keep working hard. These Grand Slam champions, there's something that clicks in them and they win, but they get hungrier and they want to dominate. And that's what makes the difference between a Grand Slam champion, somebody that just made a semifinal or final and never see them again. Yeah, you gotta keep working.
Gotta keep working.
Matt Kane says she lost weight too. Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, good.
She does look skinnier. You're right.
Who were some other players where losing too much weight cost them? Azarenka did.
Azarenka, but she's better.
She's better now.
Yeah. Gene Schwartz says Pliskova. I agree. I had her on my list.
Yeah.
I think Pliskova's opportunity to win a U.S. Open is gone. Australian Open is gone. She had two opportunities when she beat Serena at the Australian Open, and then she lost in the next round. She just doesn't have it mental. It doesn't matter who she gets as a coach. I don't think that if she doesn't start bringing out, her emotions, I don't think she'll ever win a slam.
Didn't she sign on with Bajin? Who did she sign on?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so she signed on with Bajin, and this guy Bajin was a prodigy, not prodigy, but a hitting coach associate with Mortagalu. He was the hitting partner with Serena for a very long time, and then took on Yastremska, who's another one that I have on this list. Took on Yastremska, didn't work too well. He had Osaka first, I think, and then Yastremska, and then now Pliskova. I don't think Bajin is anything more than just a really good hitting partner that will go out. I mean, I think his coaching style is.
Some of these coaches get lucky though, and they
Now, earlier in the show, we were talking about coaching. Now, I'm not going back to that, but there is a lot of luck involved, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but there's a lot of luck involved on becoming a good coach. In terms of one that's not good coach, that came out incorrectly, but a monetarily extremely successful one in terms of capital, in terms of money. Why? Because it's a lightning strike chance that you become a great tennis player. I mean, it's a lightning strike chance that you're going to be Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, even with the same amount of work that those guys put in. It has to do with just the unique human being skill set, whatever, blah. So a coach, by the way, most coaches grow up, they work hard, they go through their certification programs, and they coach at the club level, and they are absolutely just pretty lucky to get a Djokovic to run through a club. Most of these players are born relatively wealthy, and they're raised in fine academies. And even at the fine academies, there's very few players that come out that actually get on the top 10, top 20 level. Back to Bajin and Pliskova. Bajin was the type of coach that was, lucky to work at Mortagalu's, lucky to be with Serena, and that kind of made his career where it is. So I don't think that just because Bajin is with Pliskova, that Pliskova is going to have some stellar year.
I mean, she had Conchita Martinez. I mean, she was a Grand Slam champion.
Yeah.
She's a female. She understands the game well. She was feisty in her time.
Yeah.
I mean, she would have been the best one to taking her to a Grand Slam champion. That didn't work for her.
Now, what is she now? Is she almost 30? Is Pliskova almost 30?
She's close. Matt Kane says he also had Azarenka and Mladenovic. See, we forgot because it was forgettable. That's the point. He didn't have Azarenka for long. And he didn't do anything for Mladenovic. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, I think Pliskova can win the major. I say can. I don't think she will, but she can. But I do agree. Father Time is ticking for her. So I think this year would be a good year to get it done.
Rupak, hello. He says, man, I'm back here after a long time. How you guys doing?
Let's go.
At 5K Tennis, Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Let's see who else. Let's see. Let me go back on my list.
If he just got on, make sure to subscribe. We've got a lot of prize giveaways this year. Some rackets, lots of strings, 5K Tennis shirts. So make sure to subscribe.
Conta said, Matt Kane said Conta. Well, Conta's at the end of her career. I mean, she knows it. I didn't even know.
Who said that, Matt Kane?
Yeah, I mean,
she's British and Matt Kane's in Britain, so
she's Australian.
I respect that. But yeah, again, the topic is a player that needs to do something this year or basically pack it up. So he's right. Conta is definitely one of those.
Conta's at the end of her career. I mean, we thought that she could win a Wimbledon. I think she got to quarterfinals.
Okay, so
quarterfinals, I think. Did someone do the research? What's up, Philip? How are you? I think Konta, someone do the research. I know Jean does, but she was close at Wimbledon.
Didn't Konta make a major semifinal at one point?
Semi, he said, versus Venus.
Yeah, that's what
right.
I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It should have been Venus, but
okay, I'm gonna shift.
2017.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna shift gears on this next one to a couple younger players that I think we should start seeing glimpses or flashes of them doing better, and should happen relatively quickly. What about Felix Auger-Aliassime? I know he's very young still, but he was, of course, playing, 2 years ago?
He's 20 years old.
He's still very young.
He's still very young, so I don't think we could put him in that list. I just think he needs to figure out, he's got a great game. He's got the tools to be a champion, but I think he just plays a lot, and he got burned out last year.
I think you have to put him in that category, Carl. How old was Michael Chang when he won the French Open?
17.
How old was...
But that's the 90s. It's different now.
Let's push forward.
80s.
Okay, how old was Rafael Nadal when he won Wimbledon for the first time?
19, 20? I don't know.
Somewhere in there, I think.
How old was Federer when he won his first slam?
I think
23?
He was 22, I think.
Okay, I think the guy has time.
No,
I can't put him in that category.
I'm not saying that he's about to pack it up. I'm just saying that, again, the topic here is players that need to do well this year, pack it up, or players that need to start showing signs, or hey, we got to start being alarmed here. Yeah. Felix, I think
Nadal was 21. They said. Okay,
good math. I thought he was younger.
I just think I can't put Felix. I don't think he really needs to do something. I just think he needs to be a little bit smarter about his tennis, where he plays, because I think once those players start learning your game, it gets tougher to win. Yeah. They're figuring him out, and that's not good. You don't want a player to figure you out. They figured out Felix last year. Someone I have on my list, I think Shapo. We've been talking about Shapovalov a lot. He's 21 years old. I think it's time for him to take his game to the next level. I mean, look at Zverev. He made a final. Got lucky, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't think we'll see that this year, even though I know many of you disagree with me. I think Shapo needs to do that. He needs to do what Zverev did, make a final. I don't think he'll win a slam, but I think he could make a final.
Yeah, so I'm still very shocked about the Zverev final. Again, we know what happened. Djokovic, the unfortunate disqualification. That opened the door for everyone. I think that was Thiem's door that was opened, not necessarily... No, it was Zverev's door. Wasn't Djokovic going to play Zverev? And that, or was it the other way around? Was Djokovic going to play Thiem?
I don't remember.
I don't recall. But either way, that U.S. Open will always be a question mark in my book because of the unfortunate disqualification. How about Nick Kyrgios? I know no one cares.
Who cares?
He's party boy. He's in a new relationship with his model or whatever. But don't you think now at his age, knowing that he openly doesn't work out that much, unless that's changed, don't you, or unless it's just a theatrical performance in saying that, but don't you think at this age, if you're not putting 100% in and staying fresh, that your body just not going to be able to handle it, even at that relatively young age? I think this year Kyrgios needs to put up or shut up. Agreed?
Agreed. Philip said Felix needs to get a little stronger physically and mentally. He still looks and acts immature.
Agree. Okay. Agree totally. He has to find that man in him. Like you always say it when you watch him play. You say he looks like a little boy.
He still does.
So
whereas Stefanos Tsitsipas looks like a man now.
Okay. Well,
to me, he looks like he kind of matured. He evolved you know, like we saw him a year ago against.
He filled out.
He filled out.
Yeah.
Whereas Everett still looks like a little baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, so you do see guys maturing. I think Tsitsipas, this will be the year for him, by the way.
Well, how tall is Felix? He like 6'4", and I think Zverev something like 6'4" or 6'5".
Yeah.
So you know, maybe it's just a body type for Zverev. He's thin, kind of like me. It's hard for me to build muscle. You know, I can work out all day, and I'm just gonna get more cut up and not necessarily bulkier.
I'll add that one to the list. Yinghao said Nick can throw chairs cross court like no one else.
He can. He can. I agree with, but again, if he doesn't put up this year, then I think his tennis, in my opinion, just won't happen. But he's obviously very successful and marketable, so he doesn't have to worry about tennis.
Matt Kane says Madison Keys.
Agreed. Had that one.
I didn't have her.
Had that
I
one.
forgot about her because she was forgettable. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think she's done with tennis, honestly.
Yeah, that one.
Her game style, everybody has it. All the girls have it, but better.
But better.
She's good for one set, and then she crushes.
You know, she had her chance against Sloane Stephens in that U.S. Open final, and Sloane wiped the court with her. Wasn't it like 2-2? Didn't she destroy her? Was there a bagel in there? Was it 6-0, 6-2? You remember that?
Yeah, it was bad. But I heard, I had one of my good friends, Tanya. I think, Philip, you might know her, Tanya. She's in New York, and she was watching that final, and she said, well, Keys was hurt. You didn't see that on TV, but they were, you know, working on her a lot. So who knows? It was her chance. I think it was physical, and she let a best friend get into her head, and you know that's why you can't have best friends in tennis.
Can't have best friends.
You know, I used to tell, I have a childhood best friend. We're still best friends to this day. My dad helped her out with her tennis before I started at 11, and we were very good friends. But one thing I always used to tell my very good friends. When we're on the court, you're not my friend. So if I go at you, don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
It's tough to play a best friend.
Yeah.
That's why you saw Sharapova she wouldn't really talk to anybody because she was there to win. And Serena's only friends with those that she beats.
It's never good to go out onto a court kind of buddy with someone. If you're trying to play it at a super high level, you have to be able to flip that off. Or flip the switch off. You know, a lot of these young junior students that we have will go to their tournaments. And you see them walking out on court with their opponent, you know, and they're chit-chatting and talking about their new shoes and all this stuff. You know, like, let's take when Carla and I play. We're just two people, you know, we're just coaches. We have fun sets, we play. I mean, we're not mad. I mean, we're not like, you know, in each other's face, but we're not friendly. And we're
He's not friendly.
And we're husband and wife. I'm definitely not friendly.
Look, I just don't talk to him. But he throws his racket and everything. I don't do that. I mean, yeah, we're enemies in the court, but I don't act the way he does.
I think sometimes I'm frustrated because I'll get something set up and I can't execute it, so I'll get frustrated. But look, for some people, if they walk onto a court into battle, which is what the tennis court is, it's a battlefield. If you walk onto the court, some people, if they're talking about all this fun, jippy stuff, they get in that mentality where it's just kind of frivolous and it's not that big of a deal. So some people can, you know, hug and talk and walk out there and then just automatically flip the switch into kicking your ass mode, right?
Yeah.
Some people can't, and it makes them play worse. So it's best just to keep to yourself, get it done, and then, you know, shake hands and then do whatever afterwards.
Yeah, I think Christopher was playing this little boy that's very good, and he beat him like 6-0. Very good for his age, by the way. And then I noticed the boy in the second set was starting to talk to him after he got a few games for him. And I kept telling Christopher, don't talk to him, don't look at him. Because you let it get to your head, and then you kind of relax. You want to be still in beast mode.
And if there's built-up intimidation, then you don't want that edge to be compromised. So if I'm beating you really badly, you know, 6-2 and 3-0, I don't want that person might be intimidated by me, right? They might be like, geez,
they're just trying to get into your head.
So if they start talking to you, then your animal, your fierceness sometimes is compromised because now you're chit-chatting with this person. So your beast mode goes away. You know?
Yeah.
So
Jean Short says Sloane Stephens. I forgot about her. See, I forgot about her because she didn't do anything
I didn't have
last year.
Sloane, but again, I didn't. That's a great one. That's standing ovation. We know that she's won a major. She won the U.S. She didn't win. She won one major, right?
One major, and then got to a French Open final against Halep, and then Halep won that French Open. I mean, I've been watching her Instagram, posts. She does look like she got fitter because she was out of shape last year. She looks fitter. So who knows? I don't know. That's
a great one. I think Sloane's career is not very important.
She's in love. She's about to get married.
Yeah, I don't think it's as important as it used to be in terms of what happens at tournaments she plays. She's won her major, the one and done type thing. The Ivanovic has done that. A lot of people have done the one and dones. Wozniacki finally got it. So with that said, I would agree with you. I don't see her climbing the ranks. I do see her continuing to fall. But again, does it really matter for her?
No. I've got a few players here. Her catch, we talked about him for 2 years. I think he's done.
What about Tsitsipas? Is it time for Tsitsipas to finally
Serena, we got her in the list.
Serena,
we got her in the list too.
Tsitsipas, I think, needs to be in there. You know, this big towering Greek with the best coaches, the Jack in the Box, Patrick Mouratoglou, that's always popping up next to the dad.
This guy loves Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, so he does have good drills.
He loves pictures. He loves pictures of himself.
He does have great drills though.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a great way of relaying his coaching message to his students.
I think it's the accent that does it.
Well, and he has good ways to make metaphors with certain things that make it very understandable.
True.
So I think that's great. How about Milos Raonic?
Yeah, he's done.
Okay,
He's done. Serena, yeah, she needs to win a slam this year. She might as well retire. She has nothing to prove, in my opinion, but it's important for her. Andreescu, Gene Shore said Andreescu. She's in our list.
I have her. So what's up with her?
I don't know. I checked out her page just to see, because I never check out players' page, but I did today because we were going to do a show. I mean, she looks like she's having fun in Miami. So I'll put Raonic is gone.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Chia.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, the COVID thing hit. He came back to a tournament looked like Paul Bunyan.
No, Paul Bunyan. He looked like Porky Pig.
Porky Pig. And then I think he's lost that from what I understand.
Hopefully.
And I think Raonic is playing Delray Beach.
He's got too many injuries too.
Yeah, Delray Beach, by the way, starts in a couple of days. I think like January the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
People like Isner and Opelka, Raonic, you know, a lot of these big towering, big American servers and Canadians will usually play that tournament. But you know, I mean, it's a decent little tournament. But anyway, back to Raonic. He's playing there though.
Andreescu, we don't know I guess we'll find out, right? She's playing on the Australian Open, so we'll find out how her fitness is.
Yeah, the whole Andreescu thing is quite peculiar. You know, we're all tennis fans. We're all tennis players. We know the game pretty well. Have any of you ever seen? Now we've all seen players come and go. We've all seen it. We've all seen players come, get hurt. Hey, I have to quit, or come and something changes in their life and they don't play anymore. But Andreescu, she really jumped on the scene in a big way. She came in, boom, won
she
what?
Like, boom, boom,
she
boom,
won
boom,
what?
boom.
Indian Wells or Miami, and then followed it up with like a U.S. Open or something. Anyway, something like that, and then just disappears. We know she was hurt. We know there was some injury issues. Now, when we first saw Andreescu, we got hammered for this, by the way. Carla and I, when we first saw Andreescu, with the likes of a lot of you, while we were doing the show, we were like, she's a good player, but we worry about her fitness level because she was chunky, right? She was chunky.
She's thick.
She had the chunky arms. You could see it in the biceps.
Yeah.
And what did we always say? We would say, you know, she's good, but, you know, her career, you know, might be compromised here because she's bigger. She's chunky. She got in shape. We saw her shaping up a little bit, but sometimes carrying around weight for a while can tax the joints and body over time.
Look at Serena. So I mean, she deals with that too. They have kind of the same body type, not chunky. They're just thicker. Girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I would categorize myself under that. If I don't work out, you know, I can get thick.
But
you're thick. You're thicker.
Well, the peculiar part is for a Grand Slam winner and for someone that jumped on the scene and made so much noise, it's highly peculiar, the quietness surrounding her, where she is in her recovery, if that's still
that
what
knee,
it is. The knee. Yeah. Everything is really hush-hush. So generally, you know, there's an old saying, no news is good news. Mm-hmm. But in pro sports, if there's no news at all, when the media covers that, generally that's quite bad news. So I think there's a lot going on with her, and I hope she does well. She's a hell of a player. But I don't know what's going on here. I don't feel a good vibe and her health at this point. But I don't know. It may just be the way they roll. I don't know.
Yeah. Team Girl says, do you guys think Evans has the ability to break the top 20?
Possibly.
I mean, he's a feisty player.
He has the champion. Let me take that back. He has the grit and the determination of the best of the best. He'll get in the trenches and battle it out with anyone, any place, anywhere. But does he have the talent? Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He has the fight of the top players in the world. He has number one talent. I mean, number one grit, determination, and fight. Mm-hmm. He's had a very rough life, right, in terms of a tennis player.
Yeah.
Was ostracized for the game for a while because of cocaine allegations or something else. Doesn't matter. I've done bad things in my life too. I love Evans. I think he's a great player, but I just don't think he has the tactics over the long haul, especially in 5-set matches, to close the door against the top players. I hope he does, and he very well may, but I'm going to keep him outside the top 20.
Yeah, I had Kyle Edmund. You know, when he first came out, everybody's like, oh, you know, he was doing good. British Hope. He's done.
Evans is
He's only
better.
25, but he's done.
Evans is better than
Evans is better. Sangha, not playing the Australian Open. I think he should retire.
How about Medvedev? Is it time for Medvedev to finally win one? A big one?
Yeah.
I hate to put him on this list because he's always in the thick of it, but is it time for him to win one?
Mm-hmm.
Right? His game is so big, though. He doesn't have a really compact game. It's such a big loop. Wow. He has to play so deep behind the court. So generally people that can kind of slice and pick their spots and mix it up will end up taking advantage of that, especially through a 5-set match, because he's so taxed at the end of it, so worn out, he's so thin. It's going to be, he needs to close the door in a 5-set match in straight sets, right?
Yeah.
What about Stanislav Wawrinka?
I had him on my list. I was watching his videos. He looked a little out of shape to me. You know?
I'm going to roll through a couple. We'll switch gears.
Dimitrov.
Sabalenka. I had Dimitrov. Swiatek. So Swiatek, she was hot. She won the French Open. So what I'm saying is, the only reason why I'm bringing up Swiatek is we know we'll get some strange person winning the French Open a lot, right?
Well, you got Ostapenko. Throw her on the list.
That's why I'm bringing it up. So Swiatek, because of this French Open, no one saw it coming. She won it. Oh, it almost seems like the curse of the French Open when a random person wins it. That they're kind of done. You know what I'm saying?
I can't add Kenin to that list because
I have Kenin. Who said that?
I don't think so.
I put Kenin on it. Who's that?
Jean Schwartz. I disagree with that.
I agree with Jean only because she when you're really feisty like that and kind of snooty and bratty, and then you come out and then you when she won what, the Australian?
Yeah, but she got to another final.
But I think what Jean's getting at and why I put her here is that when you win, you have to back that up.
Well, I think her daddy's gonna kick her butt if she doesn't win more.
So what I'm assuming, Jean, I'm assuming that you and I were thinking the same, and that because she's done something, now she needs to back it up. And if she can't back it up, will she start to pout and go away?
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's, can you back it up?
Muguruza, I don't know Matt can, because Muguruza's won quite a few slams. I mean, she's fine. I mean, she did what she had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can we expect from Muguruza? She's won her slams.
Well, again, the topic is players that need to do something this year or fade away, or if it's a young player, they need to do something like now.
Well, I have Amanda Anisimova.
I have her.
We talk so much about her. I don't know if her dad's death affected her that much.
Surely it did.
But for some reason, I feel like she's going to fade.
I had three on the young list. I have 3 girls that I'll just pair off in one category that I think we should start seeing things from. 1 was Anisimova. Yeah. 2 was Yastremska.
Yeah.
And 3, and she's still very young, is Coco Gauff. I only mentioned Gauff. She's so young, but she's already been, kind of really far into big tournaments. So
I disagree with that. No.
She's very young.
She's just starting her career. Philip said, what about Federer?
Well, yeah, but yes, but look, I said that about Federer 2 years ago, and everyone tore me apart. He hasn't won a major, I think, since the Australian 2018. I started to talk about it that same year.
I think he'll shock you guys.
I do not think that Roger Federer at 40 years old is going to even make it into the second week of a major because of the 5-set thing. If some young player in the top 20 in the world can have an on day and push him to 4 or 5 sets,
I agree with
he's
that.
going to slow down.
I know.
It's tough at 40.
Pranav said what happened to Kerber. Again, Kerber won 3 slams. She doesn't need to prove anymore. I mean, she's at the end of her career. There's players that, I put here, Quarry should retire, Monfils should retire, Dimitrov should retire, Wawrinka should retire, Verdasco should retire. I have Goffin. We've always talked about him. He's 30 years old. I think he's at the end of his career. And Sakari needs to do something. She's 25.
Yeah, and the list can continue.
Kiki Bertens, that's a good one.
Yeah, yes. and the list can inevitably go on. I'll finish up my list. I had Kachanov on there. I also had Kvitova, and I also had the number 1 in the world. I also had the number 1 in the world, Ashley Barty. She hasn't played, and what? She hasn't played since
the whole year.
The whole year, right? She had a protected ranking, so she's still number 1. There'll be rust, I can assure you, unless she's been playing high-level practice matches.
Sure.
All right. Next topic. This is a quick one. The Australian Open is not postponed. It's delayed. So it's going to start, I think, in early February?
February 8th.
Okay. The qualifying rounds of the Australian Open are now being held in different locations around the globe because of the COVID restrictions. So, in other words, the players do not have to travel to Australia to qualify. They can qualify in different places. I think one of them is Dubai. I think there's somewhere else as well. Do you have a problem, or any issues, or does this put an asterisk on the Australian Open. Do you have a problem with this?
No, I mean, they're trying everything to do to run these tournaments. It's hard to run these tournaments. A lot of them got canceled, postponed. So I think they're doing their best. I think it's smart that they're having the ATP Cup, in Australia, because that prevents them from doing that 14-day quarantine.
Like the revised Davis Cup,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You said Dubai is not too far. We know they're doing the women's qualifying there.
Yeah.
126 players, right? 16 qualify.
128, I think.
128. I think it's a great idea. I mean, we want to see more tennis.
Yeah.
I was looking at this morning for USTA junior tournaments, and I can tell you there's almost none. So for juniors, I don't know how they're going to get their rankings up.
Well, look.
But I'm just saying, they're trying everything. Can you imagine? The pros barely have tournaments. For anybody under that, there's barely anything.
And the reason why the National Football League, U.S. football, NFL, why baseball, MLB, why basketball, especially NBA, why they have an easier time of doing it is because of the marketability of the product. Everyone in their right mind that's a football fan is going to go home and watch football or basketball or baseball or whatever it is. There's so much more money in terms of television coverage for even individual games. Like, look, let me make an example. Tennis is mainly watched, at least here in the States, when there's a major on, right? Mm-hmm. And even then, it's kind of few and far between here in the States and the U.S. Tennis isn't very popular anymore here.
Right.
So, but everyone goes to the TV to watch even a regular season, baseball or basketball. Like, I'm a Lakers fan. I haven't watched any of the games, haven't had time, and we don't have a TV right now. But nonetheless, I keep up with every game. But people on the outside that are, they call themselves tennis fans, they watch 4 tournaments a year. Sometimes just one if they're in the States, the U.S. Open, right? They're not going to tune in and watch regular season matches, which would be like round 1 matches of the Estoril Open.
Only you die hard.
Yeah. So what I'm getting
some of you
is
will.
all these tournaments have no marketability. I mean, I'm not going to run home and say, hey, man, I can't come to work today, or I got to postpone a lesson because the first round of the Estoril Open just came on.
Random cheer, you might.
But people will call in sick because their favorite football team is playing and they want to crack a beer open. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different. So it's harder for the tennis world to put in so much money without the marketability from like TV ads and so forth. I don't have a problem with it for a couple of reasons. Number one, these players that are qualifying and traveling, a lot of them can't afford to do squat. So they're saving their butts off to get there. And then on top of that, I think they have to quarantine for 2 weeks prior to the tournament, right? So they have to be in Australia for 2 weeks. Now, if you don't have any money, A, and number 2, it's really difficult for you to travel, B. Number 3, you're so broke, you can't even bring anybody with you, so you're solo. So now it might be easier access for those really hard-up players with no money to get to their qualifying matches instead of having to fly to the bottom of the earth to Australia. I mean, Australia, a lovely place, but could you imagine there's nothing around. It's ocean everywhere. So it's on its own big island. I mean, it's a continent. It's a big island.
Crocodiles, snakes,
but it's
spiders.
There's more poisonous stuff in Australia than you can shake a stick at.
Thinking about this with the whole pandemic thing and the whole tournaments, having restrictions, I think it takes out those that are struggling out of the equation. It keeps only those that can afford tennis.
Yeah.
And then I mean at every level.
At every level.
Because if you look at the tournaments from juniors to UTR pro events to challengers, they're at very far locations, and they're not even close. I was looking at calendars for everything, and I said, how are people going to travel from China, now New York? It's like before you would find like 10 tournaments in each state. Now there isn't.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. It's taking out those that are struggling or can't afford, to travel out of the equation.
So, the old saying, which I think is bullcrap, that tennis is a rich sport.
Now it is.
It's first of all, you can learn tennis with next to nothing. Ask the young players that are playing on dirt courts all over the world and in Africa, or look at some of the people in Serbia that have played with bombs falling on their heads and so forth. But it's becoming very expensive, or even beyond that. It's becoming to the point where you have to be super rich just to get to a tournament these days.
Yeah.
The entry fees, even at the junior level, have skyrocketed for short sets. Some of the
I saw a $90 tournament here in Mobile. I said, I'm not spending $90 for a tournament. Are they crazy? I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you go to the tournament and no one's really paying much attention. It's not really well run. So again, tennis has a real problem in the U.S. in terms of marketability. It just does, and it's unfortunate. but that's just the way it is. So I do not have a problem with it. The conditions, someone can't say, in Dubai that, they had to play in the snow, and in Australia they're playing in the heat because, it's hot in both places, but at least there's another location. So it's not just on one side of the world.
Yeah, it's kind of helping them out.
I mean, it gives them another option.
Yeah, Wayne MGS said, I'm surprised even John Millman was struggling financially.
Yeah.
He's in the top 100. Gene says some players don't even have that kind of money to even fly to those places.
Exactly. Some of them are literally are looking to eat at some places that they travel.
So think about this: when you are a challenger or you are in the lower tier tournaments, usually what happens is they'll have a sponsor family, like you could stay with a family. But now because of this whole thing, you can't even do that. So it's hurting a lot of people. Thoughts on Djokovic, Carter said. I see a lot of these guys are picking him to win, and who's going to challenge him. I think you guys will be shocked that he will lose this year.
All right, so I have that as a topic. We'll go ahead and skip to that. So this one is for Carter. I wrote this, and let's take some responses too. First, my question to Carla was, and I don't know if she knew I even wrote this, is Novak Djokovic the favorite to win the Australian Open? Is he the favorite?
Not to me, he's not.
And why is he not the favorite?
Just because at the end of the year, to me, he looked kind of tired. I think a lot of the politics that he's been dealing with, the new PTPA, and then the ATP. A lot of people hating on him for what happened at that tournament, the spread of COVID, blah, blah, blah. And I think some players are starting to figure him out a little bit. And he's older. And I think the US Open hurt him. The French Open final, Nadal killing him like that hurt him. He didn't seem confident.
All right.
I think that this will be a different Australian Open. I'm glad. I'm tired of seeing this guy win 8. Just like I'm sure I'll get tired of seeing Nadal win another one,
Okay.
I want to see somebody new win the Australian Open.
All right.
And I know somebody's going to say, well, you're not going to say that about Nadal, but I just don't think he's going to be as dominant.
All right. So you said your piece. I'll say my piece.
Yeah.
I was kind enough to let you speak there without interrupting. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to disagree with you 100%, okay. and I'll explain why.
Okay.
The reason why I think that Djokovic is the odds-on favorite, the betting favorite, and why I think he's the favorite to win it, and why I think he'll win his 9th there is this. First of all, I'm going to debate with you your first statement, and just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something about the unfortunate thing about his tournament.
Right.
To me, that wasn't an unfortunate thing. I think the unfortunate thing was the U.S. Open. I know you want to interject, but let me finish this narrative. The tournament that he held was in his own country.
Yeah.
That was his own home. So you can't go into someone's home and tell them they have a dirty place or they don't like your house because it's your house. They can just get out. Okay. So I don't think I thought the tournament was, hey, good for him. He put on a tournament. His mindset was let's have some fun, and everybody's in a tough spot. I applaud him for the tournament. It wasn't he didn't drag people there with a chain. They came.
Yeah,
Number one.
Agree.
However, the unfortunate event, I think, was the U.S. Open accident.
Agree.
Okay. Now, you mentioned, secondly, so I disagree with you on what was unfortunate. And number two, I disagree with you about he looked tired, quote unquote, at the end of the year. I think that at the end of the year, we know that, where was it, in Paris, or I forget what the tournament was now.
Yeah, he withdrew. He didn't.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
I think it was Paris. Well, you'll interject, and then I'll get confused and irritated. So
he's always irritated.
So, so what was I saying?
You were talking about the end of the year at Paris.
Oh, you said he looked tired.
Yeah.
I don't think he looked tired. I think he may looked a little burned out, or maybe a little bit of disinterested. So he had already been disqualified from the U.S. Open, and that was could you imagine that happening to you? How devastating that would be?
Yeah, I was mad at that.
So I don't think that causes tiredness, like his body was tired. I think he was a little flustered. Okay, I can't believe this happened. A little flustered. Blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, now if I don't show up to this tournament and play this tournament and win X amount of matches, now I won't be number one in the world anymore. So he goes, whatever tournament it was, he goes and he wins his first round and then loses to Sonego of all people. And people are like, he's tired, and Sonego is the player to watch now. That's horseshit. He just, excuse my language, he just wanted to do what he had to do to get to the end of the brutal year that was so brutal on everyone. And if you had to put on top of you COVID and everything else, and this thing that happened in his own country that was none of anybody's business except the country of Serbia.
I agree with all that. Yeah.
If you put And that was just stripped from Serbia, from the Western media, to just defame him and to make Roger and Rafa, that were abstaining from playing, look even more mighty, right?
Sure.
That was a good versus bad media stunt, nothing more.
I agree. Yeah.
So, he retained his number one in the world. Now, I gave him grief our last show about, hey, you should have put more effort into Sonego.
Right.
I gave him grief for it, and he deserved that.
Yeah.
But, we move forward, right? So, yes, he should have beaten Sonego. Yes, he sold out on the fans. Yes, it was a bad look. But you know what? He's won this tournament 8 times.
Right.
Just because he volunteered a match and gave Sonego the win of his life.
I'm not talking about that match.
What I'm saying doesn't mean he looked tired. I think that normally the year is
not from tennis, from politics.
Not tired. I think more burnout, and he knew that all he had to do was solidify number one, and his year was done, and he can reset for this year. Now, starting now, January the 1st, 2021, Novak Djokovic has won this tournament 8 times, okay? It's his backyard in a sense.
Sure.
He knows the court, the conditions cold. He is like in the prime, in my opinion, and still in the prime, maybe the declination of the prime. So if you have a bell curve, his prime's right at the top. He's still up there. He's still in that curve, maybe on the downslope of prime, but he's there. So I don't have a good feeling that some of these little twerps like Zverev or I don't mean to call Thiem a twerp, but he wouldn't have been in the damn final had it been for the damn tennis ball, and he wouldn't have won it. So I get Thiem got his major. There was some luck involved with that one, but I don't think you can call an unfortunate luck throat shot at the U.S. Open. I don't think you can call the tournament that was in Serbia, which was no business of Western slander media, and I don't think you can call him losing to Sonego a sign of
no, I don't call that. No, definitely not.
Yeah. So why would he not be the favorite?
I think there's too much still going to politics.
Who's going to beat him?
No.
Who's going to beat him?
I think anybody could beat him.
Who?
Anybody could beat him.
Anybody. You mean anybody?
Well, I see some people say Thiem, maybe.
I don't think so.
Thiem's been close at the French Open. He took a lot out of Djokovic.
And you don't think he wants a revenge factor here?
Where?
When he goes to Australian Open,
I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he wants to pulverize everyone he meets.
I'm sure, but we don't know how he is. I like some of the comments here. William Spencer says, I think we're going to see in the next few months whether Novak is just jaded and will bounce back strong, or if he's peaked and we will now be surpassed. Thiem now looks at least his equal. Waynham says, we need to bear in mind that COVID could have had an effect on Nole. We still don't know the long-term effects of it well enough. I just think that there are some players that have a chance.
Yeah.
Just like there are some players that have a chance at the French Open against Nadal. You can't always win it.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, you're gonna lose. 8 is a lot, Justin. Just like 13 is a lot. Eventually, you're gonna lose, and that's what I'm saying.
So, do you think eventually?
And I'm not saying that Novak's gonna have a bad year. I just don't think that we should say and stamp it. He's gonna win number 9.
So, is this kind of synonymous though with you? You're a big Nadal fan. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Is this synonymous? Is this a true statement or a false statement? Okay. Is Rafael Nadal to the French Open as to Novak Djokovic is to the Australian, or Federer was to Wimbledon?
Absolutely.
Okay, with that said, so we agree. It's pretty straightforward. It was a rhetorical question. I already knew the answer. So with that said, are you saying that Rafael Nadal will probably be beat at the French Open?
He could. 13. That's enough.
Okay.
He could. It could happen. We might see different players. I'm not saying these guys are going to have a bad year. Maybe they'll win slams that we didn't expect them to win.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe Nole will win the French like he's been wanting to, and Rafa will switch. I don't know. I'm just saying, don't expect, just because the guy won 8, don't expect him to win again.
Look, I think
things are different. It's February. More players are going to be there, so they're going to be accustomed to the weather. It's a little bit different. Sometimes these guys come from the holidays, they've been on vacation, and boom, there's Australian Open in January. But it's not. It's in February.
They're all great points, but the end of the U.S. Open was in September, right? Okay, yeah, September.
Then was the French.
Yeah, he was either way. The U.S. Open when the season basically ended because of the stupid ball for Djokovic mentally.
I thought he should have won that. Yeah.
He was going to win it.
I know.
He got flustered and an accident happened. Bad things happen when you get flustered, and he wasn't really flustered. He was just hitting the ball back to the person, but he did it a little bit harder than normal, a little flustered, whatever, accident. But that wasn't very long ago. September, October, November, December, January.
He played the French too.
Yeah. So this is only 5 months ago or so of tennis. But the French, in terms of his trajectory of winning another major, I don't count on him winning the French, but I count on him having a very good opportunity of not winning multiple majors on other surfaces this upcoming year. Grass, hard. There's 2 hard, 1 grass. So he has a very good opportunity. My question is, in 5 months of time, if you take away the end of the year for Novak after he locked up everything, and those 5 months of time, just before the ball till now, who of those little bozos is now improved as much to beat him in 5 months?
I think Tsitsipas has a good chance.
So all of a sudden, Tsitsipas...
Justin, I can't take out the 5 months because everybody was talking about he is dominant. He has been undefeated. But things happen in life. Just like we can't always be dominant in life. Something has to always happen. We always talk about that.
Understand.
I can't take away the 5 months. Those 5 months happened. And they're so recent. So sorry, no.
All right. Well, in my opinion, to sum it up, I think he's the favorite.
He is.
I
don't know that he's the favorite like he used to be. I just think he's questionable right now. We don't know how he's going to play. We haven't seen him play. He'll probably play the ATP Cup. Who knows? As a warm-up, I know Nadal is for his country. So we'll get to see more of what he can do.
The Davis Cup / now ATP Cup. Right. It's always been good warm-ups for players that are in their indicative country if it happens there. All right. Next thing, Indian Wells postponed. Wasn't it Indian Wells 2 years ago where Andreescu jumped up on the scene that we started really saying, oh, okay, look at this girl, right? Anyway, Indian Wells postponed. Any remorse about that? Any bad feelings? Is it understandable to you? I mean, California is in the thick of all these numbers.
I don't think the Indian Wells will happen.
Yeah, I think
it'll be canceled.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much self-explanatory there.
Yeah.
California has been having extreme numbers in these cases. So it makes a lot of sense there. I'm sure it was the right decision for them.
Everything's closed there.
Yeah. And to get, you have to think about where Palm Springs is. So Indian Wells is in Palm Desert. I used to live across Mount San Jacinto from there. So we lived in this town, and there was a 12,000-foot mountain, and then on the other side of that was Palm Springs. So I spent a lot of time there. Palm Springs is, it's in the middle of the desert. It's a sprawling, beautiful area. It's green because it's heavily irrigated, but it's not the cheapest place to go to. And it's kind of, per se, geographically speaking, and kind of in the middle of nowhere. So if you have, and it's a really expensive place to go visit, highly expensive. So I'm thinking it's a plus for everybody involved. If you're paying all the money to go there for, 6 feet apart and, subpar seating, and, it's probably best just to postpone it because it would probably be a bad product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure there'll be more cancellations as we go.
Yeah. It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Auckland's not happening.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah.
Miami,
Yeah, Miami's not going to happen. Well, it's a conservative state. It is a conservative state for the most part.
Their numbers are going up as well.
So they may not have it either. All right, Naomi Osaka was attacked on social media for taking a picture on Christmas of herself in a pair of pajamas with her boyfriend on a private jet. Don't know why.
Who cares?
Who cares?
She earned it.
Yeah. So the moral of the story here, if you didn't hear about this, Naomi Osaka and her boyfriend were just taking a selfie portrait on an airplane, and people were attacking her like, this is what's wrong with the world. She's standing up for all these rights and all those people that are hurting, but yet is taking pictures in a private jet. Shut up, man.
Leave the girl alone.
Leave her alone. Yeah. There's a pandemic. She can afford it. Why would she fly on some packed airplane?
It's like
who cares?
Nadal, his yacht.
Yeah,
he can afford it. So what?
Move on. If you have enough time to look at a picture and to sit there and type some nasty stuff,
you earned it. You worked hard for it.
You need to find something better to do.
Team Girl said exactly. She earned it.
Yeah, let her fly, man. Good for her.
Yeah.
How does Osaka do this year, by the way? Does she win multiple? I think she wins. I think she wins a major this year.
She is relaxed.
I think the U.S. Open for her.
She's relaxed.
Is it possible that the U.S. Open for Osaka becomes something like the Australian Open for Djokovic?
I think so. She loves it there. Let me go back to some of these comments. Let's see. Okay, Jean says, good things always have to come to an end. Carter says, I agree that Novak is questionable. Horrible end. Yinghao says, not to mention, Novak would still be a strong contender. Okay, he should have won this year. Okay, so everybody says he should have won this year. William Spencer said, a factor could be Novak's incident at the Open opened the door for TM to win a slam. Medvedev has now won the ATP finals. Two of Novak's biggest threats now have more self-belief.
Yeah, he writes some good stuff. William, that's William again, right? So this is something I didn't think about until he just said that. So maybe, and this could be, that what William is saying holds a lot of ground. And he said that could TM winning his slam have opened the door? What if TM winning the slam gave him the psychological
That he needed.
mentality to say that, okay, I won a slam, I know I can win another one, whereas before he may not have and had the intimidation factor. Now, he didn't play Djokovic, so I don't know if his intimidation factor would...
Well, he played him at the French Open semifinal. He was tired.
Yeah.
Thiem was tired, and he had him.
Yeah.
So he did have belief in him.
Yeah, now, does the psychological factor also fall over into the rest of the men's field by saying, hey, if Thiem can do it, now I know I can do it because I've beaten Thiem 10 times.
Exactly. It's all belief, so.
Yeah, so psychological advantage, well said.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another quick thing. There are multiple men's and women's athletes, and not just athletes. There are a lot of, maybe not super successful stars, movie stars that is, or actors, blah, 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 maybe low budget models, that type of thing, that are now going to this OnlyFans type page. I guess you set up, I've never seen it, but I guess there's a page, it's called like OnlyFans, and then you pay a certain amount to see like maybe mature or, kind of adult pictures of people. We know Bernard Tomic has done it in tennis. So Bernard Tomic, if you didn't know, went on this OnlyFans thing and had an adult movie with his girlfriend, right? And you pay to see it, so it's a way to make money. I won't mention any names outside of tennis, but I have looked it up. There's quite a few, if not hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands, of very well-known people. I would say so, pretty well known if you're in those kind of different avenues that are doing this. And do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with these athletes now showing their bodies and selling themselves for money?
That's their problem, not mine. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want to show your titties, your ass, and you want to make a sex video, that's on you, and that's on your morale, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to do it? It's been done by actors, politicians. I don't know.
Yeah, I only bring it up because I continue to see articles about this, and most of them are just tearing the people up. We have to think about why. People are out of work. I know in this country alone, some say there's the unemployment rate, or the unemployed is somewhere like 6 or 7 million. I think it's like triple that. The numbers are. So people are doing what they have to do to survive. This type of thing just didn't start with this OnlyFans page. It's been going on for thousands of years. So anyway, it's just a way for them to make.
William said, "I'm all for it. Just putting it out there."
Yeah, I mean,
and of course, it's people that are struggling. It's not. You're not going to see Serena do that, or you're not going to see Osaka do that. It's those players that we've never heard of. So,
all right, this is the last thing that I have, and then we'll take some comments or topics that you guys have. But I want a list of players that in 2021, starting now, that if you could go to them and beg them to please don't screech so loud or grunt so loud when you hit the tennis ball. In other words, ha-ee, or huh. What players would you beg and plead to please take the screech level down? At least tone it down a little bit. I'll start. Obviously, number one, I'm going to go with Azarenka. Mm-hmm. Squealing pig. Sounds like a damn pig just got ran over by a damn bus, and he's still alive. Just awful. Sabalenka's another one. Yeah, sounds like a damn mule that just got his...
Genes at risk.
Yes, I had risk. I'm with you, bro. And look, I hate to throw you...
Thiem.
He's a grunter. His is... Thiem has a...
He hits, and it's like...
Well, he has a delayed grunt.
Yeah.
He hits the ball is traveling. Sometimes the ball... Thiem has a borderline hindrance grunt. Now, let me explain how a hindrance works in tennis. Okay, so if I'm a player and I have the net, there is a such thing as a noise hindrance. So once the ball crosses the net, I cannot, as the person that struck the ball, I can't make noise or start waving my racket around or whatever as the ball comes onto my side of the court. It has to be, there can't be any hindrances from the other side of the net. Now the ball's in my territory. So sometimes if you watch this, Thiem will hit the ball, strike it. Ooh, that's empty. He'll strike the ball. Boom, the ball will be about to cross the net, and finally he'll let out the grunt. Ball will be traveling. Sounds like a damn cow moving in the pasture. But it's way after he hit the ball, right? It's like it's like get some. He's not saying get some. He's just giving him a grunt, right? Yeah. So Thiem's on the list. What about
Munar?
Oh, Munar is rough. Munar is rough.
Rafa?
Yeah,
Rafa?
I've got Rafa on
Rublev?
there. Rublev's rough.
Vamos! Muguruza?
Yeah, Muguruza's a good one too. All right, that's all of the topics that I have. And any questions out there?
What's up, Mosh?
Don't forget to subscribe this year. Again, we have a lot of stuff to give out this year. We have, again, I have YTEX, which is a string company for the players out there. I have shirts. I have short sleeve, long sleeve. I have strings. That's for the players that want those. We're going to do 5K tennis shirts as well for some of our prize giveaways. What else do we have? We're going to do a cash version of that too. So if you're just a tennis fan and don't play and don't want a 5K tennis shirt or a YTEX shirt or strings, then we're going to do cash giveaways per like PayPal or Cash App, so we can pay you internationally if you win some of the competitions. So the fantasy team competition for the Australian Open will begin as soon as the draws are released. So keep your eyes open for the fantasy team video, and the tennis racket giveaway will happen for the Australian Open. For winning the tennis racket, we've got a lot of rackets. I'll just decide which one I want to put out there, but they're all very nice rackets. But we are going to name the men's finalists, who you think will make the final of the Australian Open, what women that you think will make the final of the Australian Open, and the winners. If you predict that, I'll send you a freshly strung, I'll string it tennis racket, and a very nice one. Matt Cain was our last winner in London. He won a Wilson 100 Burn S.
I hope you're playing tennis, Matt Cain.
Yeah, he won a Wilson Burn countervail. Nice racket.
Okay, Lillian Spencer says Sariva Tormo. She goes out early, but I've never heard her. Winning chance at House the House. When are you guys shifting back? We're hoping in January.
Yeah, the house, again, if you don't know, we live here on this island, but our house was, I'm not going to say destroyed, but you can't live in it. The roof was torn off, the sides were torn out, all the furniture was destroyed. It was supposed to be done by the middle of December. Then it was supposed to be done before Christmas, and then it was supposed to be done by the end of December, and here we are in January. So we're still here. Hopefully we will be back in our house at the end of this month, if not before, and we will set up our kind of show area again. And I really would like to have the viewers send, if they want to send a picture, or they want to send their flag of their country, or you want to send a brochure, or you want to send something. I would like to put a blank wall behind me, and if you want to send something, I'll put it on the wall. So that way when we do these shows, and again, I told you one of my resolutions was to work really hard on this year. Our equipment isn't the best, cell phone, so it's not, I don't spend time and edit it, make it all fancy. I just don't have time for that. But I would like to start a wall of some stuff. Anyway, that's all I got.
Team Girl said, I can't wait to use the YTEX string. Hard to play tennis right now in the UK with lockdown.
Yeah, and by the way,
so you got the strings. I think I sent you strings.
Yeah, and I forget what type I sent him. But this year, if you break or get through some of those strings, I'll just send you some more. No worries. Just
don't know when the next stream is yet.
So I can send you some strings. I can send you other strings to try. I'll send them to you. Don't even worry about it. Still compete though. Fantasy teams will start too. How that works, and I won't get into that really much. You're gonna pick 8 players. Some of them can be. I won't describe it now. It takes too long.
Yeah,
I'll do a separate video for that.
I'm ready to eat breakfast, and I know my dad's coming soon, and I got to do a lesson, so I
got to go dry the courts.
I got to go check on the courts. So let's go. Isn't it cold there? Well, I'm cold because it's cold in here.
No,
it's like 50s.
No, the high today, you can see it on your phone. It's at the top. The high outside right now is 68 degrees.
And I'm a jacket. It's just because we're in here right now.
Yeah. No, outside it's warm. Yesterday it was about 70. We played all day yesterday. Well, coached all day yesterday, and then played in the afternoon. And then it rained here this morning, so we wanted to do our show. We rescheduled our early lessons.
Well, only one now.
Yeah. So make sure to subscribe. I will be doing random name polls and be doing some send outs. Like for instance, I just volunteered myself to send Team Grove some more strings. So I'll get that done. Let me know when you get through with them. I think I sent you like Square X and Hexagon X or something, or Quadro Twist. Be truthful. I demo the strings and test them. We're testers for the strings and make videos for them. So if you don't like them, tell me. I don't like it, and let me know why, and I'll send the feedback to the owner of the company. But I'll send you some more once those break. Please subscribe. Much love to everyone. Let's go. Happy New Year. Stay pumped, fit, healthy. Get your grind on. And I plan to do this again in like 2 days. So every other day during majors, we'll do it every day. So we will see you in 2 days. Sometimes it's hard for me to let you know too far in advance what exactly the time will be. I think it comes out when I set it up. And let me know if you like them better live or just recorded. All right, so that's it. We'll see you guys in 2 days. All right?
All right.
Peace out.
Bye.